Hello everyone and welcome to this video where we'll see how to place a trade directly from the chart in Odin.
So here I have Odin open with the TFEED provider and I'm about to place an order directly from the chart.
To place an order from the chart, use this button. There you go, this little arrow. And what you'll see is very similar to another platform. In this specific situation, as soon as I move my mouse, you can observe a reaction based on whether I am positioned below or above the current price. Right, so from there I just have to left click to place a limit order and right click to place a stop order. And then I can also hold down the control key to place additional orders. So let's imagine I'm buying a limit, which means I left click without holding down control. My limit order has been placed and the click mode has been disabled. See, I click the chart, but nothing happens. My order's just placed.
And now if I do it again with a bit more, how should I say, by pressing the control key, I've placed my order, and since I'm holding down the control key on my keyboard, I can place multiple orders simultaneously.
See that? And so if I go above the price, I get stop orders, or rather sell orders that are automatically created. And then I can simply take them with my mouse, hold down my left click and move them, up and down, and then release my click so that the modification becomes effective. I can also click on this little cross to cancel the orders. Okay, there, I'll cancel everything, cancel everything, cancel everything. And finally, I can right click on the chart and go to either market buy with specific quantities,
1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 15, market sell, etc.
It's the same for a limit buy here and for a stop sell there. So if I stop sell 2 contracts here, you see it placed my stop sell order at -2, 2 contracts downwards, right here. There you go. And obviously, if I take my order here and then move it to a price point where it would immediately get filled, well, it's executed instantaneously.
And you can see that, well, I'm now in position on the Nasdaq with 2 contracts at noon, so obviously it moves very fast.
And to close my position, I can either click the X symbol here, or click on the flatten all button, or alternatively, buy back 2 contracts on the upside, but that last option isn't particularly useful.
And the final point to clarify is that by holding down the left click on my current position, and then dragging it downwards, I can set a limit order. This will function as a buy order here, specifically for exiting my position, essentially acting as a take profit.
There, and by releasing the click, I validate the order. And if I do the same on the other side, I'll have a stop. So you see, it adjusts based on being below or above the price. And it's a pretty simple way to place a stop. Next, you have a small BE button here called breakeven. So this BE button will allow you see, when I hover my mouse over this button, it creates a yellow line at the breakeven point, which means a stop loss at $0, a neutral trade. And if I click this button, my stop is instantly placed at the breakeven level. This means you have a zero risk trade, allowing for what we call infinite gains, because you can no longer lose money on this specific trade. There, you can obviously just move your stop again like this, and by performing a right click, you can define an offset, which is essentially a shift from your break-even point.
So for example, if I want to have a break-even point plus 10 ticks, right? That's what makes a $50 profit. So I want my break-even order to be at $50 basically, $50 in profit.
I click apply, now I have BE plus 10. And when I hover my mouse over it, you can see the yellow line for the break-even plus 10 appears. And it operates on precisely the same principle as before. If I click on it, my stop order automatically shifts to break-even plus 10, effectively ensuring that you incur no loss whatsoever.
So it's at plus 100 with 2 contracts, 50 plus 50. I should also mention that the BE button is accessible through the B key, which is a keyboard shortcut.
Keyboard shortcut, you click B and the stop is moved to break even. There you go. It's also accessible through this button right here, on the order entry module. I'm going to close this superb trade just like that. Additionally, you have this button right here that lets you visualize all of your past trades. So buy here, sell there, plus 525 in gain, with a precise duration. And you may have noticed my limit orders cancelled automatically. And yes, because if I show you, I'll execute this, a buy order, and a limit order here, a sell order there.
If I cancel the order, or rather if I close the position, there the limit orders here have been cancelled.
And the second thing to note is that if I adjust my quantity here, for instance, and buy 2 contracts, I'll then set both a limit and a stop order. The order is clearly at +2, or rather -2, 2 contracts, which is logical, a 2 contract limit, and then I make a partial sale of one of the 2 contracts. There. You may have noticed very subtly that the limit orders that were there were also modified to 1 contract. In fact, this functionality is an auto-adjustment and auto-cancellation feature. This helps you avoid a very complicated situation where you might think your stop is a bit too far away. You might think you've hit your take profit target, exited your position, and then the next day, upon returning to your platform, you realize that the market has dropped significantly, that your order was executed, and you've ended up losing your entire account in a really foolish way. So there, with Odin, no problem, you cancel and boom, it cancels everything for you. If you don't wish for this feature, you can navigate to the settings button located at the top right and uncheck auto cancel orders when position is closed, and also untick auto adjust orders quantity when position is trimmed, meaning reduced. There, save. And now you can see that if I do the exact same thing, I cancel, or rather I close my position. And there you go, your stop order and your limit order have remained.
And in the same manner, if I initiate a trade with 2 contracts, place a limit order like this, and then proceed to close only one of those contracts, there I dispatch one, you'll notice that both the limit and stop orders steadfastly remain at their original 2 contract quantity.
And so what happens if I try to execute my limit order immediately is that naturally a short position is created. This is because we initially had a long position, and by adding a short, we ultimately result in a short. So that's all for this video. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.